Captain Fenris stood dumbfounded as the human ships circled his vessel like predators closing in on wounded prey. In one moment, his mission to the primitive planet Earth had gone from routine to disastrous. The alien commander watched his sensor readings in disbelief. The supposedly tiny human military now surrounded his ship with technology far beyond what the Andorian Empire believed Earth possessed. Fenris cursed under his breath, realizing the grave error in underestimating this unassuming world. From the bridge of the sleek stealth ship, Nighthawk, Commander Nolan Hunter smirked as he saw the confusion and panic spreading across the Andorian crew's faces. As Earth's top Gap operative, he had trained his entire life for this moment, the day when humanity would prove itself a force to be reckoned with on the galactic stage. Hunter opened a comm channel to the alien ship, his voice steady and commanding. "This is Commander Nolan Hunter of the Earth Defense Fleet. Your presence in our space is unauthorized and unwelcome. You have one chance to comply with our orders and accompany us planetside for diplomatic discussions. If you fail to cooperate, we will use any means necessary to protect our world." On the Andorian vessel, a flurry of activity erupted as the crew scrambled to assess their options. Fenris gritted his teeth, his pride warring with the undeniable reality that his ship was outclassed and outgunned. With a heavy heart, he accepted the human commander's demands, knowing that the alternative could mean the destruction of his crew and a diplomatic disaster for the Andorian Empire. As the ships descended through Earth's atmosphere, the world below buzzed with a mixture of excitement, fear, and unbridled curiosity. The arrival of an alien race had long been the stuff of science fiction, but now the people of Earth found themselves on the precipice of a new era, one that would test the limits of human ingenuity, courage, and unity in the face of an unprecedented challenge. In the heart of a secure military facility, the stage was set for a clash of civilizations that would forever alter the course of human history. With genetically enhanced super soldiers as Earth's first line of defense and the shocking revelation of the planet's hidden capabilities, the Andorian Empire now faced an adversary far more formidable than they had ever anticipated. The fate of two worlds hung in the balance, and the coming days would decide whether humanity would rise to the occasion or crumble under the weight of its own destiny. As the Andorian delegation disembarked their ship under heavy guard, the gravity of the situation weighed on Captain Fenris. The once primitive humans now held the power to dictate terms, a stark reversal of fortune that left a bitter taste in his mouth. Escorted by a phalanx of genetically enhanced soldiers, the Andorians were led into a fortified holding facility, their every move watched by the unblinking eyes of advanced surveillance systems. In the heart of the United Earth Government headquarters, President Viktor Novak convened an emergency summit of Earth's most influential leaders. The room buzzed with tension as the implications of first contact sank in. Some saw the Andorians as a threat to be neutralized, while others, like Novak, recognized the potential for a new era of interstellar cooperation. "We stand at a crossroads," Novak began, his voice steady and resolute. "The decisions we make in the coming days will shape the future of not just our world, but the galaxy itself." As the debate raged on, Commander Nolan Hunter and his team of GFP operatives began their interrogation of the Andorian crew. The aliens, initially defiant, soon found themselves outmatched by the superhuman capabilities of their captors. Hunter, his eyes cold and calculating, pressed for information on Andorian technology, culture, and intentions. "You underestimated us," Hunter said, his voice low and menacing. "Now you'll learn the true potential of the human race." As the interrogations progressed, Captain Fenris's suspicions deepened. The Genetic Ascendancy Project had created soldiers far beyond anything the Andorian Empire had encountered. The realization sent a chill down his spine, knowing that his people had unwittingly stumbled into a confrontation with a formidable new power. In the UEG summit, General Alec Graves emerged as a key player, his hawkish stance on the Andorian situation drawing both support and opposition. Graves, a veteran of countless battles and a driving force behind the GAP program, saw the aliens as a potential threat to be met with unwavering strength. "We cannot afford to show weakness," Graves argued, his voice booming across the chamber. "The Andorians must understand that Earth will defend its interest at any expense." As the debates raged on, a new development sent shockwaves through the UEG. The Andorian High Command had dispatched a larger fleet to Earth, led by the legendary Admiral Zara Valen. The news brought a new sense of urgency to the proceedings, as the possibility of open conflict loomed on the horizon. President Novak, recognizing the need for both diplomacy and strength, made a fateful decision. Ambassador Evelyn Shaw, a seasoned diplomat with a keen understanding of interstellar relations, would lead a team to initiate negotiations with the Andorians. At the same time, Earth's military would prepare for the worst, ready to defend the planet at a moment's notice. In the holding facility, Hunter and his team made a startling discovery. The Andorians possessed genetic engineering technology that far surpassed Earth's own capabilities. The implications were staggering. If the Andorians were to turn this technology against humanity, the consequences could be catastrophic. As the Andorian fleet entered Earth's orbit, the stage was set for a confrontation that would determine the fate of two civilizations. On one side, the Andorian Empire, a galactic power with advanced technology and a proud warrior culture. On the other, Earth, a planet on the cusp of its own ascendancy, armed with genetically enhanced soldiers and a fierce purpose to protect its way of life. In the coming days, the strength and persistence of both sides would be tested as they navigated the treacherous waters of interstellar diplomacy and braced for the possibility of war. The future of Earth and the destiny of the universe itself hung in the balance. The Enigma 1 hung suspended in the inky void, a gleaming beacon of diplomacy amidst the looming threat of interstellar war. Ambassador Evelyn Shaw inhaled deeply, steeling herself for the monumental task ahead as she led the human delegation towards the airlock. Commander Nolan Hunter flanked her, his enhanced senses on high alert, scanning for any hint of danger. As the airlock hissed open, Shaw's eyes locked with those of Admiral Zara Valen. The Andorian leader stood tall, her blue skin shimmering under the station's lights, antennae twitching with barely concealed agitation. Beside her, Captain Fenris shifted uncomfortably, his gaze darting between the imposing figures of Hunter's Gap team. "Welcome aboard the Enigma 1, Shaw said, her voice steady and diplomatic. "We hope this neutral ground will facilitate productive discussions between our peoples." Valen's lips curled into a sneer. "Spare me your pleasantries, Ambassador. We are here to discuss the terms of Earth's surrender." The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. Hunter's muscles tensed, ready for action at a moment's notice. Shaw, however, remained unflappable. "I'm afraid you misunderstand the purpose of these negotiations, Admiral," she replied coolly. "Earth is not here to surrender, but to establish peaceful relations between our civilizations." Valen's antenna flattened against her head. "You leave us no choice, then. The Andorian Empire will not tolerate the existence of such a threat." Before Shaw could respond, chaos erupted. A group of Andorian soldiers, led by a scarred warrior Shaw assumed to be Commander Thrax, burst into the room, weapons drawn. "For the Empire!" Thrax roared, charging towards the human delegation. In a blur of motion, Hunter and his team sprang into action. Their enhanced reflexes and strength were immediately apparent as they engaged the Andorian soldiers. Hunter himself moved with inhuman speed, disarming two attackers before they could even raise their weapons. The battle raged across the Enigma 1, alarms blaring as the station's security protocols activated. Shaw found herself pushed behind a console by one of the GAP soldiers, watching in awe as the enhanced humans systematically dismantled the Andorian attack force. Across the room, Admiral Valen's eyes widened in shock as she witnessed the true capabilities of Earth's genetically enhanced soldiers. Captain Fenris, his face a mask of conflicting emotions, grabbed her arm. "Admiral, we've made a grave miscalculation," he hissed urgently. "These humans are far more formidable than our intelligence suggested." Valen shook off his grip, her pride warring with the undeniable evidence before her. "Impossible," she muttered, even as another group of Andorian soldiers fell to the GAP team's onslaught. The tide of battle shifted decisively when alarms blared throughout the station, announcing the arrival of Earth's space fleet. Through the viewport, sleek human vessels materialized seemingly out of nowhere, their advanced stealth technology rendering them invisible until the last moment. Admiral Valen's communicator crackled to life, filled with panicked reports from her fleet. The human ships moved with uncanny precision, outmaneuvering the Andorian vessels with ease. Explosions blossomed in the void as Earth's weapons found their marks. "Admiral," Fenris pleaded, "we must retreat. We cannot win this battle." Valen's face contorted with rage and disbelief, but she nodded sharply. "All forces, fall back," she ordered, her voice tight with suppressed fury. "Retreat to the rendezvous point." As the Andorian fleet disengaged, leaving behind the smoking hulks of their defeated ships, an uneasy calm settled over the Enigma 1. Commander Hunter approached Ambassador Shaw, his uniform torn but his posture impeccable. "The station is secure, Ambassador," he reported. "What are your orders?" Shaw surveyed the aftermath of the battle, her mind racing with the implications of what had just transpired. Her gaze fell on Captain Fenris, who stood apart from his fellow Andorians, a look of internal conflict etched across his features. "Commander," Shaw said quietly, "I believe we may have an opportunity here. Keep Admiral Valen and her loyalists under guard, but bring Captain Fenris to my quarters. It's time we had a frank discussion about the future of our two species." As Hunter nodded and moved to carry out her orders, Shaw turned to face the viewport. The Earth fleet hung in formation against the starry backdrop, a powerful symbol of humanity's new place in the galaxy. The battle was won, but Shaw knew that the real challenge, forging a lasting peace, was only just beginning. Ambassador Shaw's quarters on the Enigma 1 thrummed with tension as Captain Fenris entered, his antenna twitching nervously. Commander Hunter stood at attention near the door, his enhanced senses primed for any sign of threat. "Captain," Shaw said, her voice measured, "I believe we have much to discuss." Fenris nodded, his eyes darting between Shaw and Hunter. "Indeed we do, Ambassador. What transpired today was unexpected." "Unexpected?" Hunter scoffed. "You mean you didn't anticipate us defending ourselves?" Shaw raised a hand, silencing Hunter. "What matters now is where we go from here. Captain Fenris, I sense you have reservations about your Empire's actions." Fenris's shoulders sagged. "You're perceptive, Ambassador. The truth is there are many within the Empire who question our current path." "And you're one of them," Shaw pressed. "Yes," Fenris admitted, "which is why I propose a meeting. Not here, not on Earth, but somewhere neutral." Shaw leaned forward, intrigued. "Go on." "There's a moon, Tau Ceti 4. It's controlled by like-minded individuals. We could meet there, discuss a way forward that doesn't end in more bloodshed." Hunter's eyes narrowed. "This sounds like a trap." "It's not," Fenris insisted. "Please, Ambassador, this may be our only chance to prevent full-scale war." Shaw considered for a moment, then nodded. "Very well, Captain. We'll meet on Tau Ceti 4. Weeks later, a cloaked shuttle touched down on the barren surface of Tau Ceti 4. Shaw and Hunter disembarked, their breath frosting in the thin atmosphere. Fenris waited for them, accompanied by a stern-faced Andorian woman. "Ambassador, Commander," Fenris said. "This is Commander Artella. She leads the movement here." Artella's antennae quivered as she spoke. "Welcome to Tau Ceti 4. We have much to discuss, and little time." Inside a makeshift bunker, Artella unveiled a holographic display. "This is Project Purge," she explained, her voice grim. "A bioweapon capable of eradicating all human life in the galaxy." Shaw gasped, Hunter's fists clenched. "Grand War Master Kratos is behind this," Fenris added. "He sees humanity as a threat to Andorian dominance." "We need your help to stop it," Artella said. "Together we can sabotage Purge before it's too late." Back on Eradix, the Andorian homeworld, Admiral Valen stood before Grand War Master Kratos, her head bowed in shame. "You failed me, Valen," Kratos growled. "Those human abominations made a fool of our forces." "Forgive me, War Master," Valen pleaded. "We underestimated their capabilities." Kratos' eyes blazed with fury. "No more delays. Accelerate Purge's development. Prepare the invasion fleet. We'll crush these humans once and for all." He turned to a scarred Andorian warrior. "Commander Thrax, I have a task for you. Find Artella and her band of traitors. Eliminate them." Thrax grinned, revealing sharpened teeth. With pleasure, War Master. On Earth, the United Earth government convened an emergency session. General Graves pounded his fist on the table. We must strike now, he roared. Cripple their military before they can regroup. President Novak shook his head. We can't rush into war, General. There may still be a diplomatic solution. With all due respect, Mr. President, Graves retorted, diplomacy won't stop Andorian warships. Before Novak could respond, an aide burst into the room. Mr. President, we've received an urgent transmission from Commander Hunter. The room fell silent as Hunter's holographic form materialized. Mr. President, we've uncovered evidence of an Andorian bioweapon called Purge. It's designed to wipe out humanity. Gasps and murmurs filled the chamber. Novak's face hardened. What do you suggest, Commander? We have allies within the Empire, sir. With your authorization, I can lead a strike team to sabotage Purge's development. Novak nodded grimly. Do it, Commander. Whatever it takes. On Karok III, alarms blared as Hunter and his GIAP team infiltrated the secret Andorian research facility. They moved with superhuman speed and precision, neutralizing guards and scientists with ruthless efficiency. In the central lab, Hunter's eyes widened as he took in the horrific scene. Rows of stasis pods lined the walls, each containing a writhing, mutated form. My God, he whispered, they're experimenting on civilians. A nearby computer terminal caught his attention. Hunter plugged in a data drive, downloading files on Purge and the genetic enhancements. Suddenly, the facility rocked with explosions. Hunter's comm crackled to life. Commander, Andorian reinforcements incoming. We need to go now. As they raced back to their ship, Hunter's mind reeled from what he'd seen. The Andorians had to be stopped, no matter the consequences. On Tau Ceti 4, the rebel base erupted into chaos as Thrax's forces descended from orbit. Laser fire and explosions lit up the night sky. We're overrun, Artella shouted over the din. You must escape. Take what we've learned to Earth. Shaw hesitated. We can't just leave you here. Artella's eyes blazed with commitment. Go! The fate of both our peoples depends on it. As Hunter's ship blasted off, Shaw watched in horror as Artella charged into the fray, buying them precious seconds with her life. In orbit, Hunter's fingers flew over the controls, evading Andorian fighters as they climbed out of the atmosphere. His heart made as he thought of Artella's sacrifice. This ends now, he growled. No more games, no more diplomacy. We stop Purge, or we die trying. The ship streaked into hyperspace, leaving behind the burning rebel base, and carrying with it the seeds of a war that would reshape the galaxy. The Enigma One's corridors echoed with urgent footsteps as Commander Hunter strode towards the war room, his face etched with steadfast perseverance. The doors slid open, revealing a hollow display of the galaxy, sectors flashing red as reports flooded in from the front lines. President Novak's holographic form materialized, his eyes steely. Commander, the UEG has made its decision. We're initiating Operation Goliath. Hunter nodded, his enhanced mind already calculating strategies. Understood, sir. We'll hit them hard and fast. The war room erupted into a flurry of activity as orders were relayed and battle plans finalized. Within hours, Earth's combined military forces surged across the stars, striking at the heart of the Andorian Empire. At the Trell shipyards, Commander Zane Corvin's stealth ship glided silently through the void, its revolutionary cloaking technology rendering it invisible to Andorian sensors. He watched the massive construction facilities loom larger in the view screen, his pulse quickening. All units, prepare for precision strike. Corvin's voice crackled over the comm. Remember, we need those defenses down fast and clean. The human fleet materialized from hyperspace, catching the Andorians completely off guard. Laser fire lanced through space, surgical strikes disabling key defensive systems. As alarms blared across the shipyards, Corvin led the charge, his JP shock troops breaching the main facility. The battle raged through twisted corridors and cavernous hangars. Corvin's enhanced reflexes allowed him to dodge incoming fire, his own weapon finding its mark with deadly accuracy. Push forward, he shouted, leading his team deeper into the heart of the shipyards. In a secure data center, Corvin's fingers flew over alien consoles, downloading critical intelligence on the Empire's secret shipbuilding operations. The information they uncovered would prove invaluable in the battles to come. Meanwhile, on the besieged world of Caraxa, Captain Thrawn Vek crouched behind a shattered wall, plasma rounds sizzling overhead. His genetically augmented shock troopers were scattered throughout the ruins of what was once a thriving alien metropolis. "Delta Team, flank left!" Vek barked into his comm. "Epsilon, provide covering fire!" The air filled with the staccato rhythm of weapons fire as Vek's forces advanced, coordinating seamlessly with the local insurgents. Years of Andorian oppression had forged these aliens into fierce rebels, their knowledge of the urban terrain proving crucial. Block by block, they pushed the Andorian occupiers back. Vek's enhanced strength allowed him to effortlessly scale a crumbling building, providing sniper support as his troops stormed an enemy stronghold. The final push came as they neared the internment camps. The sight of emaciated civilians, their bodies bearing the scars of Andorian experiments, filled Vek with cold fury. With a roar, he led the charge, his troops and rebel allies overwhelming the last pockets of resistance. As the liberated Caraxans stumbled out into the sunlight, cheering their human saviors, Vek allowed himself a moment of satisfaction, but he knew the war was a long way to go. Across the galaxy, newly freed worlds rallied to Earth's banner. The tide was turning, but the Andorian Empire would not go down without a fight. On the Andorian throne world of Eradix, Grand Warmaster Kratos paced before a towering viewscreen, his face contorted with rage as reports of defeat after defeat poured in. "Enough!" he snarled, turning to face Commander Thrax. "It's time we showed these humans the true might of the Empire. Prepare a strike force. We're going to hit them where it hurts most." Thrax's scarred face split into a vicious grin. "Earth itself, Warmaster?" Kratos nodded, his eyes gleaming with malice. "Bring me the ambassador. We'll see how brave these humans are when their own people are at stake." As the Andorian strike force prepared for their daring assault on humanity's homeworld, the stage was set for a confrontation that would shake the very foundations of the galaxy. The Enigma One's war room buzzed with activity as Commander Hunter studied the holographic display of the Hecarim Nebula. Swirling clouds of ionized gas concealed the massive Andorian shipyard within. "This is it," Hunter said, his voice low. "Our best chance to cripple their war machine." Commander Zane Corvin nodded, his eyes gleaming with anticipation. "My stealth ships are ready. We'll slip past their outer defenses before they even know we're there." As the human fleet prepared for the assault, Ambassador Shaw found herself in a cold, sterile cell on Eradix. Grand Warmaster Kratos loomed over her, his antennae twitching with terrifying rage. "Your people have gone too far, Ambassador," he snarled. "But perhaps we can still avoid further bloodshed." Shaw met his gaze unflinchingly. "What are you proposing?" Kratos's lips curled into a cruel smile. "Simple. Your forces withdraw, and I'll consider releasing you." In the swirling chaos of the Hecarim Nebula, Corvin's stealth ships glided silently towards their target. Colonel Zeth Kane and his GEPI shock troopers prepared for insertion, their enhanced bodies humming with nervous energy. "Remember," Kane said, his voice steady over the comm, "hit hard, hit fast. We take out those defenses and our main fleet can move in." The moment Corvin's ships decloaked, all hell broke loose. Laser fire erupted from concealed emplacements, but the element of surprise was on the human side. Kane led the charge, his troops moving with superhuman speed and precision. On the shipyard's command deck, Commander Thrax barked orders, his scarred face contorted with fury. "Drive them back! Protect the purge stockpiles at all costs!" Kane's team fought their way through twisting corridors, their enhanced reflexes allowing them to dodge incoming fire with uncanny accuracy. But as they neared a critical junction, Thrax himself appeared, leading a counterattack. In a blur of motion, Thrax closed the distance, his strength matching Kane's augmented muscles. The two warriors grappled, crashing through a nearby bulkhead. Kane's troops surged forward, but Thrax's reinforcements cut them off. "Go! Kane shouted to Sergeant Axel Renner. "Complete the mission." Renner hesitated for a split second before nodding grimly. He led the remaining troops deeper into the shipyard as Kane faced off against Thrax alone. Meanwhile, on Earth, President Novak received Kratos' ultimatum with a grim expression. He turned to his advisors, his decision already made. "We don't negotiate with terrorists," Novak said firmly, "especially not when they're holding a gun to the galaxy's head." As the battle raged in the nebula, Hunter's infiltration team touched down on erratics. Moving with silent efficiency, they made their way towards the facility where Purge was being developed. Inside a dimly lit chamber, Hunter found an unexpected ally, Captain Fenris, battered and bruised from days of interrogation. "They broke me," Fenris whispered, shame evident in his voice. "I told them everything about our alliance." Hunter helped Fenris to his feet. "What's done is done. Right now, we need to stop Purge." Together, they fought their way to the heart of the facility, sabotaging crucial systems and destroying research data. But as alarms blared throughout the complex, they realized they were too late to stop the weapon entirely. "Kratos," Fenris gasped. "He's loading Purge onto his flagship. He means to use it, regardless of how the negotiations go." In the nebula, the tide of battle shifted. With the shipyard's defenses crippled, the human fleet closed in, but victory turned to horror as Purge projectiles began contaminating the battlefield. Colonel Kane, locked in combat with Thrax, felt the first effects of the bioweapon. His enhanced body fought against the infection, but he knew it was a losing battle. With the last of his strength, he activated his emergency beacon, transmitting Purge's molecular structure to the fleet. Sergeant Renner watched in anguish as his commander fell. "This ends now," he growled, leading a final push against the Andorian forces. As Purge threatened to spread unchecked, a new weapon entered the fray. Human interdiction cruisers deployed swarms of nanodrones, their microscopic forms seeking out and neutralizing the deadly contagion. Kratos, watching from his flagship, realized his trump card had failed. In a fit of desperate rage, he issued one final ultimatum to the human forces. But President Novak was done playing games. The full might of Earth's fleet, bolstered by rebel reinforcements, sprang the trap. Using materials seized from the shipyard, they constructed an improvised interdiction field, trapping Kratos' flagship within the nebula. As boarders led by Hunter, Renner, and Fenris fought their way onto the Andorian vessel, Kratos made his final, insane gambit. With a mad gleam in his eyes, he activated the ship's main reactor, ready to ignite the volatile gases of the nebula itself. "If I can't have the galaxy," Kratos roared, "then no one will." The nebula erupted into a maelstrom of fire and energy, threatening to consume everything in its path. In the chaos of battle, with the fate of two civilizations hanging in the balance, Hunter realized that stopping Kratos was only the beginning. The real challenge lay in forging a lasting peace from the ashes of war. The nebula erupted into a maelstrom of fire and energy as Kratos' mad gambit unfolded. Hunter, Renner, and Fenris fought their way through the chaos of the Andorian flagship, alarms blaring and crew members scrambling in panic. "We need to reach the engine core," Hunter shouted over the din, ducking as a section of bulkhead collapsed nearby. Renner took point, his enhanced reflexes allowing him to navigate the twisting corridors with precision. Fenris brought up the rear, covering their advance as they encountered pockets of desperate Andorian resistance. They burst onto the engineering deck, immediately met by a hail of plasma fire from Kratos' elite guards. Hunter dove for cover, his mind racing through tactical possibilities. "Fenris, suppressing fire left. Renner, with me." The trio moved with practiced efficiency, their coordinated assault overwhelming the defenders. As they neared the pulsing heart of the engine core, Hunter spotted the inertial dampener controls. "Cover me!" he yelled, sprinting toward the console. A stray shot caught him in the shoulder, but he gritted his teeth and pushed through the pain. His fingers flew over the alien interface, deactivating the crucial systems that would allow the ship to jump to warp. Kratos' enraged roar echoed through the ship's comm system. "You think this will stop me? I'll see you all burn." The deck lurched violently beneath their feet as the nebula's energies began to tear the vessel apart. Hunter staggered, clutching his injured shoulder. We need to move. Now! They fought their way to a nearby hangar bay, Renner half-carrying Hunter as Fenris provided covering fire. They piled into a shuttlecraft, Fenris taking the controls with practiced ease. As they rocketed away from the doomed flagship, the view screen filled with an apocalyptic spectacle. The Andorian vessel twisted and broke apart, consumed by the very cataclysm Kratos had unleashed. In the aftermath of the explosion, the human rebel fleets regrouped. Admiral Valara's hologram appeared on the Enigma 1's bridge, her alien features set with relentless drive. Commander Hunter, our long-range sensors show the Andorian shipyards are in disarray. This may be our only chance to strike. Hunter nodded, his tactical mind already formulating a plan. Agreed. We'll need to hit them hard and fast. Can your forces provide a diversion while we target their structural weak points? Valara's mandibles clicked in what Hunter had come to recognize as a smile. Leave it to us. We'll give them a light show they won't soon forget. As Valara's ships engaged the outer defenses, Jap Major Davin Rhodes led his strike team toward the heart of the shipyard complex. They moved with silent efficiency, years of training and genetic enhancements, allowing them to slip past Andorian patrols undetected. Rhodes accessed a control terminal, his enhanced mind processing the alien data at lightning speed. Team, I've located the command nexus. Let's end this. The strike team fought their way through increasingly desperate Andorian resistance. Rhodes's battlefield awareness allowed him to anticipate enemy movements, coordinating his team with lethal precision. As they breached the final security checkpoint, Rhodes found himself face-to-face with the shipyard's commander. The Andorian snarled, raising his weapon, but Rhodes was faster. A quick burst of fire, and it was over. Rhodes activated the facility-wide comm system. Attention, Andorian forces. Your command structure has fallen. Lay down your weapons, and you will be treated fairly under interstellar law. For a moment, silence reigned. Then, one by one, reports of surrenders began to flood in. On Eradix, the seat of Andorian power, chaos erupted as news of Kratos' demise spread. Artella, her face scarred but eyes burning with revolutionary fervor, led her rebel forces in a lightning strike against key government installations. For too long, we've lived under the boot of warmongers and xenophobes, she declared, her voice carrying across liberated communication channels. No more. Today, we reclaim our destiny. Fenris's network of contacts proved invaluable, providing the rebels with access codes and security weaknesses. They stormed the High Council chambers, the once mighty Andorian leaders reduced to cowering figures as they were placed under arrest. Standing atop the steps of the council building, Artella raised her voice to the gathered crowds. Citizens of Andoria, I proclaim the birth of a new commonwealth. No longer will we be defined by conquest and hatred. Together, we will forge a future of peace and prosperity for all. Cheers erupted from the assembled masses, years of oppression giving way to hope. Aboard the Enigma 1, Hunter watched as Admiral Valen's battered fleet approached under a flag of truce. The Andorian commander's hologram flickered to life, her expression a mixture of resignation and relief. Commander Hunter, Valen began, her antennae drooping. On behalf of what remains of the Andorian military, I offer our unconditional surrender. President Novak's voice came through the comm system, firm but not unkind. Admiral Valen, we accept your surrender. Your cooperation in the coming days will be crucial as we work to rebuild and heal the wounds of this conflict. Valen nodded solemnly. I understand, and I will submit myself for trial. The atrocities committed in this war cannot go unanswered. As the formal surrender proceedings began, Hunter allowed himself a moment of reflection. The cost had been staggering, the sacrifices immense. He thought of Cain, of all those who had given their lives to secure this victory. But as he looked out at the stars, no longer threatening but full of possibility, he knew their sacrifices had not been in vain. A new chapter in galactic history was about to unfold, and humanity would play a central role in shaping it. The Enigma 1's engines hummed to life, ready to carry them into an uncertain but hopeful future. Whatever challenges lay ahead, Hunter knew they would face them together, stronger for the trials they had overcome. The galactic landscape had shifted dramatically in the years following the Andorian conflict. Earth, once an isolated world on the fringes of interstellar politics, now stood at the center of the newly formed Galactic Alliance. The scars of war had faded, replaced by unprecedented cooperation between former adversaries. Commander Kalen Cross, now a seasoned GAP officer, stood on the bridge of the Dauntless, gazing at the swirling energies of the Tartarus Rift. His mind wandered to the bizarre reports that had led them here. Derelict ships of unknown origin, spatial anomalies defying known physics, and whispers of ancient technologies beyond comprehension. "Sir, we're picking up a distress beacon," Lieutenant Ava Chen reported, her fingers dancing across the sensor array. Sir, it's the Dauntless. Captain Rhodes's ship." Kalen's eyes narrowed. "That's impossible. Rhodes's mission was years ago." "Confirmed, sir. The signal's degraded, but it's definitely them." Admiral Silas Merrick's gruff voice cut through the tension. "Cross, take your team and investigate, but watch your backs. We don't know what the hell is out there." The dropship cut through the turbulent atmosphere of Nervok Prime, buffeted by winds that seemed to howl with alien voices. As they approached the coordinates of the distress signal, a massive structure loomed on the horizon, a sprawling megacity of impossible geometry, its spires twisting in ways that hurt the eyes to follow. "By the stars," breathed Sergeant Liam Voss, his enhanced vision struggling to make sense of the sight. "What is this place?" They sat down near a gaping entrance, the dropship's floodlights barely penetrating the oppressive darkness within. Cross led his team into the structure, their boots echoing on surfaces that seemed to shift between metal, stone, and something entirely unfamiliar with each step. The air grew thick with an acrid ozone-like scent as they penetrated deeper. Suddenly, the silence was shattered by a burst of weapons fear. Cross dove for cover, his enhanced reflexes allowing him to pinpoint the attackers, pale, spindly beings with too many limbs, wielding weapons that seemed to phase in and out of reality. "Contact!" he shouted, returning fire. His shots passed harmlessly through the first alien, but the second crumpled with an unearthly shriek. "They're using some kind of phase shift tech," Voss called out. "Adjust your targeting algorithms." The battle was fierce but short. As the last alien fell, an eerie quiet settled over the chamber. Cross approached one of the fallen creatures, its body already beginning to dissolve into a silvery mist. "What the hell are these things?" he muttered. "Sir!" Private Zara Nix's voice echoed from an adjoining room. "You need to see this." Cross entered a vast circular chamber, its walls lined with pulsing, organic-looking consoles. At the center stood a pillar of swirling energy, and suspended within it— "That's impossible," Voss whispered. Floating in the pillar, his features twisted in a silent scream, was Captain Talon Rhodes, looking exactly as he had the day he disappeared years ago. Before they could process the sight, the consoles flared to life. Holographic displays filled the air, showing star charts, DNA sequences, and images that made Cross's enhanced mind real. Prehistoric humans in chains, led by beings that looked disturbingly like the creatures they had just fought. "Sir," Nix said, her voice trembling, I think these are records of human history, but not the history we know." Cross activated his comms. "Admiral Merrick, we found something. Something big. You're going to want to see this for yourself." As if in response to his words, the entire structure shuddered. The energy pillar holding Rhodes pulsed violently, and for a moment, reality itself seemed to warp around them. "Cross," Merrick's voice crackled through the comms. "We're picking up massive energy spikes across the rift. Whatever you found down there, it's waking up, and it's not alone." Through the chamber's towering windows, Cross watched as the sky above Nervok Prime tore open, revealing a vast armada of ships unlike anything he had ever seen. At their center, a vessel of impossible size began to emerge from the rift. The true nature of humanity's past, and the threat to its future, was about to be revealed. The vast armada emerging from the rift cast long shadows across Nervok Prime's turbulent atmosphere. Cross tore his gaze away from the impossible sight, focusing on the immediate threat within the chamber. "Secure roads and prep for evac," he ordered, his enhanced mind already calculating escape vectors. Nix, download everything you can from these consoles. We need to know what we're dealing with. As his team moved with practiced efficiency, Cross activated his neural link to the Dauntless. Admiral Merrick, we need immediate extraction. The situation has... His words were cut short as the entire structure shuddered violently. The energy pillar holding Rhodes flickered and destabilized, releasing the captain's unconscious form. Voss caught him before he hit the ground. "Sir!" Chen's voice crackled through the comms. "We're detecting massive energy spikes across the rift. It's tearing open." Cross watched in horror as the sky above Nirvok Prime split apart, revealing a swirling vortex of unnatural energies. From its depths emerged grotesque, amorphous entities that defied description, the Flux Spawn. "All units, fall back to extraction points." Merrick's voice boomed across all channels. "We are initiating emergency protocols. This is not a drill." As they raced through the twisting corridors of the alien structure, Cross witnessed the terrifying efficiency of the Flux Spawn through the facility's windows. The entities absorbed everything in their path, growing and mutating with each assimilation. They reached the dropship just as the first wave of Flux Spawn breached the facility's outer defenses. The ship's engines roared to life, catapulting them into the chaotic skies above Nirvok Prime. "Sir," Nix reported, her voice tight with fear, "I've analyzed the data we retrieved. These Flux Spawn, they're some kind of byproduct of precursor technology. The Sarkill cult, they activated something they couldn't control." Cross watched as the surface of Nirvok Prime began to warp and distort under the Flux Spawn's influence. "And now we're all paying the price," he muttered. As they approached the Dauntless, Cross saw other ships from the fleet already engaged in desperate combat with the Flux entities. Conventional weapons seemed to have little effect, passing through the amorphous forms without causing damage. Admiral Merrick's hologram appeared on the dropship's display. "Cross, get your team to the Halkan Redoubt. We're evacuating all non-essential personnel and regrouping there." His eyes hardened. "We're going to need Exol for this fight." The next hours passed in a blur of frantic activity. Cross found himself in the heart of the newly formed Exol Command Center, surrounded by the best and brightest the Alliance had to offer. As reports flooded in from across the galaxy, the true scale of the threat became clear. "We've lost contact with 3 more colonies," Tishara, the Rylath warrior colonel, reported grimly. "The Flux Spawn's rate of expansion is unprecedented." Dr. Ezekiel Zan, hunched over a console filled with indecipherable equations, looked up with haunted eyes. "We're running out of time. If we can't find a way to counter this threat, entire star systems will simply unravel." Cross felt the weight of command settle heavily on his shoulders. He thought of Myra, of all they had sacrificed to reach this point. He couldn't let it be in vain. "All right," he said, his voice cutting through the tension in the room. "We hit them hard. We hit them fast. Tishara, I want your best operatives ready for deployment to these coordinates." He highlighted a series of systems on the galactic map. "Dr. Zan, focus your team on weaponizing any precursor tech we can salvage. The rest of you, prepare for the fight of our lives." As the Exol team dispersed to their assigned tasks, Cross felt a presence at his side. He turned to find Fenris, the enigmatic figure from humanity's darkest hour, standing there with a grim smile. "I never thought I'd see the day when the fate of the galactic realm rested in human hands," Fenris said softly. "But if anyone can lead us through this, it's you, Kalen." Cross nodded, his mind already racing with plans and contingencies. As alarms blared and the Halkan Redoubt prepared for the battles ahead, he knew that the true test of humanity, and the entire Alliance, was only just beginning. The alarms blaring through the Halkan Redoubt faded into the background as Commander Cross absorbed the gravity of their situation. The Flux Spawn's relentless advance had already claimed 3 more colonies, and the rate of expansion defied comprehension. "Commander, we've received word from Meridian Prime," Lieutenant Chen's voice cut through the din. "Their outer shield domes are failing. Admiral Merrick is ordering all remaining vessels into high-orbit deployment." Cross nodded grimly. "Prepare for immediate departure. We're going in." As the Exol team boarded their respective vessels, Cross found himself face-to-face with Fenris. The enigmatic figure held out a data crystal, his eyes glowing with an otherworldly knowledge. "I've decoded critical precursor data," Fenris said softly. "We'll need to reach Meridian Prime's core. I have a stealth craft ready." The journey to Meridian Prime was a blur of tense silence and last-minute preparations. As they approached the besieged planet, the true horror of the situation became apparent. A massive flux amalgam writhed against the crumbling shield domes, its amorphous form defying the laws of physics. On the planet's surface, the Exol battalion led by Leo Nomad Vance fought a desperate delaying action. Cross watched through the stealth craft's sensors as Nomad and the Thraxian mercenary Jasmine Wade orchestrated a series of devastating ambushes, funneling the spawn's advance into predetermined kill zones. "Nomad, status report," Cross barked into the comm. "Holding for now, sir," Nomad's voice crackled back, punctuated by the sound of weapons fire. "But we can't keep this up forever. Whatever you're planning, do it fast." As Fenris piloted their craft towards the planet's core, Cross caught sight of a familiar face among the chaos below. Thrax, the fallen Andorian commander, attempted to sabotage the Exol efforts. In a blur of motion, Jasmine Wade intercepted him, her blade finding its mark with deadly precision. They reached the reactor complex just as Dr. Zan's voice echoed through the comms. "Initiating Omega protocols. All units, prepare for energy pulse deployment on my mark." Fenris worked feverishly at the ancient precursor console, his fingers dancing across alien symbols. A holographic display flickered to life, and Cross felt his heart skip a beat as Myra's face materialized before him. "Kalen," her digital engram spoke, her voice a bittersweet mix of ones and zeros. "I never thought I'd see you again." Cross reached out, his hand passing through the intangible image. "Myra, There's no time," she interrupted, her eyes filled with a mix of love and urgency. "The uplink is established. You know what you have to do." With a heavy heart, Cross nodded. "I love you, Myra, always." As the hologram faded, Cross turned to Fenris. "Let's finish this." Above, the Alliance fleet unleashed a barrage of concentrated energy pulses, their weapons guided by the power of precursor artifacts. The beams converged on Meridian Prime's core, igniting a chain reaction that defied the very fabric of reality. Cross felt the ground beneath his feet begin to shake violently. Through the facility's viewports, he watched as the world around them began to warp and twist. The flux spawn's corrupting influence seemed to recoil, caught in the grip of something far more powerful. "It's working!" Fenris shouted over the deafening roar of reality itself being rewritten. "The space-time reset is—" His words were cut short as a blinding flash of light engulfed them. Cross felt his body being pulled apart at the atomic level, his consciousness stretching across dimensions he couldn't comprehend. In that moment of cosmic dissolution, he caught fleeting glimpses of impossible vistas, the birth and death of universes, the grand tapestry of existence unfolding before him. And through it all, a sense of purpose, of a greater design that transcended mortal understanding. As the light faded and darkness closed in, Cross heard the faint echo of Admiral Merrick's voice, tinged with both triumph and sorrow. "Meridian Prime is lost, but the flux spawn, they're gone. We've won, but at what cost?" The void swallowed Cross whole, his last conscious thought a mixture of awe and revelation. As his physical form dissipated into the newly formed singularity, he felt himself becoming something more, a part of the cosmic dance that had only just begun.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.